Welcome to Black on Black Sports. I'm your host, Pharaoh Elaton, and thank you for joining me. Today's presentation is about Oliver Lewis. Oliver Lewis was a jockey that rode in the Kentucky Derby before it was even a Kentucky Derby, and is the first Black man to win the Kentucky Derby. And not only that, he's the first man to win the Kentucky Derby. Hope you enjoy this presentation. Oliver Lewis was born in 1856 in Fayette County, Kentucky. His parents were Goodson and Eleanor Lewis. Very little is known about Lewis' life, but it's said that he was a family man, he was a husband, a father, and had 6 children. Lewis was 19 years old in 1875 when he entered the inaugural Kentucky Derby riding Aristide, a colt owned by H. Price McGarth and trained by Ansel Williamson, who was also Black. In fact, Blacks dominated racing in the late 1800s, winning 15 of the first 28 derbies and training 6 of the first 17 winners. In 1875, Oliver Lewis became the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby, America's longest continuous sporting event. Lewis was only 19 years old when he entered the first Kentucky Derby. The race was held at what was then the Louisville Jockey Club on May 17, 1875, but is now known as Churchill Downs. 10,000 spectators watched the first race. Lewis rode a horse named Aristide, which was one of the 2 colts entered by their owner. Lewis won the race, and with that victory, Lewis became the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby. Later that season, Lewis came in second in the Belmont Stakes in New York and won 3 more races at the Louisville Jockey Club. Later that season, Lewis came in second in the Belmont Stakes in New York and won 3 more races at the Louisville Jockey Club, riding Aristides in all of them. He would never ride the Kentucky Derby again and would retire after that racing season for unknown reasons. After retiring, Lewis worked for a short time as a day laborer, but then began providing handicapping tables and racing forms to bookies. He later became a bookie himself, which was legal in Kentucky at the time. Despite his role in the history of one of America's most famous sporting events, Lewis has been neglected by sports writers for well over a century, and his life beyond the famous race is practically undocumented. Lewis died in 1924 in Lexington, Kentucky, and is buried in the Lexington No. 2 Cemetery, along with several other Black jockeys of that period, including Isaac Murphy, who won the Derby 3 times. So the historical fact is that with Oliver Lewis being the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby, a Black man was the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby. And that's some Black history for you for sure. As you can see, there's not much information on Oliver Lewis, but here on Black Sports, we try to highlight our great Black athletes from the past to make sure that they get the notoriety and to help our future generations to know the history about Black Americans in sports. And not just Black Americans, mostly Black Americans, but also Black people in general will be covered here on Black Sports. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, rest at the end, not in the middle.